check something. After years of public fallout and litigation, the question on everyone's mind and everyone's mouth is why now? And can assure the Zimbabwean people that this time the unity will hold.
The MDC has been known, of course, for calling for the unit of purpose of all progressive forces to defeat the dictatorship. Right now, Zimbabwe is faced with a monumental challenge. At any rate, the people of Zimbabwe are demanding unity of purpose. We hear it in the combis, in the rural areas, in the townships, in the bars, in the restaurants. People are saying that Zimbabwean opposition must unite.
So, Mr. Munzana, so you are saying you're not the one who's calling for unity, but it's the people that are saying you guys should be united.
We are echoing what the people have said, but it also accords with what our message has always been, that there must be unity of purpose of all progressive forces. Granted, there were fights within the MDC emanating from the messy succession of 2018. The violence that took place in Bulera, where some of us were almost burnt alive in the heart, and so on. After all that, and then the fight that came in the aftermath of that, were not good for the Zimbabwean cause. And what we are saying as the MDC is to our colleagues is, if in 2008 we could unite and work together with ZANU-PF, who had at that time murdered over 300 of our finest youngsters, Tondera Indira, Beta Chokururama, Godfrey Kauzani, Kane Nyeve, Joshua Bakacheza, etc. If we could then work together with those people who had done those despicable acts, what prevents us from talking to each other? What prevents me from talking to Nelson Chamisa, to Morgan Komichi, to Elias Muzuri, Jameson Timber, Job Sikala, and all these politicians? Why not? Why should we not?
You guys have got common ground already.
After all, we come from the same origin, the original MDC of 1999. Granted, there were errors of the past, but we must bury the hatchet. Even the Bible says in Isaiah, come and let's reason together. So what we are saying is, colleagues, come and let's reason together. The interest of our nation, the future of Zimbabwe is at stake. We have a deranged group of people who are misleading the president of the country into trying to change the constitution in the most unconventional and incompetent of manners. And we are saying we need to hold that for the sake of the future of our children and our children's children.
Okay, Mr. Mazura. Now the question is, remember 2018, you had a marriage of convenience amongst the opposition as well. PDP, MDCT, and you formed the MDC alliance, but it went away again. So now the question is, can you assure the people of Zimbabwe that this time it's different, the unity will hold, or and the same cycle returns?
It is important to note that the basis of the division was not the alliance. No.
What was the basis of the division?
The basis of the division was the succession within a member of the alliance. What spoiled everything was the MDCT component of the alliance. It had a messy succession. Immediately after Morgan Tsvangirai died and we had received the news, I was the first to receive the news at this side of the border. And I got in touch with the three vice presidents then, Tokozani Kupe, Muzuri, Engineer Muzuri, and then Advocate Chamisa. And I then informed them, each one of them, about the said news. And one of them then, after a few discussions, asked me to convene the meeting of the National Council and the National Executive the following morning. And when I asked about the agenda was selection of a new leadership to replace Tsvangirai. First of all, it was very un-African. Two, it was very insensitive to the family of the Tsvangirais. And therefore, I was very, very opposed to that. That was the beginning of bad relationships. And after that, we saw people being beaten at Tsvangirai's funeral. We saw Tsvangirai's mother being insulted. There was this infamous picture where they were comparing Tsvangirai's mother to a baboon. There was a picture of a baboon and Tsvangirai's mother, and these youngsters were saying, "Can you spot the difference?" The most people in the MDC and in the country were very, very appalled by that. And to make matters worse, when we got to Tsvangirai's home, threw a rope. One of the youngsters threw a rope to Gogo Tsvangirai and said, "You said you wanted to hang yourself. Here is a thicker rope. Please hang yourself." It didn't end there for the poor lady. They ransacked the airfield. It was summer season, and there was a very good maize crop. They roasted the maize in her field, and worse still, they did their act there. Piles and piles of condoms were found.
I think we're now deviating from the question, Mr.
Yes.
Monzora. The question is this time, because the people are still there. The people that instigated that are still there. They're still in the political arena. So now, will the unity hold? And can you assure the people of Zimbabwe what steps are being taken to make sure that your unity amongst the opposition will hold this time?
Definitely the unity will hold if people have the political will to sustain the unity. And for the unity to hold, there are certain fundamentals. Number one, there must be mutual respect among each player. Two, there must be de-escalation of conflict. Number three, there must be a goal that we set ourselves for. In this regard, right now it is to defeat the constitutional amendment. That is the goal right now, the immediate goal. So we must be in agreement with the goal. And there must not be any preconditions that we must impose on one another. What is beautiful about this one is that we are not talking about leadership. We are not talking about who will be president. Because once you raise that within the opposition circles, you are like a bull that you are like somebody who has waved a red flag at a raging bull. We are not talking about that, dear Congress. We are talking about the best interest of the people of Zimbabwe. What is in the best interest of the people of Zimbabwe? It is to preserve their constitution. It is to make sure that those who come after us inherit a credible and good democratic practice. And the democratic practice comes first with maintaining, with crafting a people-driven democratic constitution and preserving it.
We'll talk about the constitution later, but now we want to talk about your call of duty. As my memory serves me right, in the last election, the 2023 election, your party garnered 0.6% of the ultimate vote. Yet you're one of the loudest people calling for unity. In the case that those that garnered, for example, let me be straight to the point. Nelson Chamisa got 2 million votes. In the event that he refuses, what's your way forward?
One important thing that people must always understand is that voters are not yours. You don't own them. They may vote for you in 2018 or in 2023. It doesn't mean they are locked in some room to be unleashed at any time of your choosing.
But those voters
will change their mind. And right now in Zimbabwe, voters are changing their minds. So if you scored well in one election, it doesn't guarantee scoring better the same in the next election. At any rate, given the example we have given of 2023, it is being forgotten that I pulled out of the presidential race.
Did you pull
out of the presidential race? Yes, over the delimitation. Remember, we had taken the delimitation battle to court.
Yes.
And during that court fight, some of the political parties within the opposition even seconded lawyers to fight us in court. But it didn't end there. ZEC then started behaving towards the MDC in a very unfair manner. 87 of our candidates were disqualified in circumstances where people of other parties were qualified. And we looked at that and we saw that we were being treated differentially. So I pulled out of the presidential race. And when I pulled out of the presidential race and did a press conference informing the nation, the Zimbabwe Election Commission refused to remove my face from the ballot.
Are you saying when you pulled out of the race, it's your supporters that now voted for Nelson Chamisa?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that when I pulled out of the race, when we pulled out of the race, we told Zimbabwe that this was a fiat accompli, this election. And it is not worth your while to go and vote. Some Zimbabweans did not listen to us and voted for Mnangagwa, for Chamisa. Some even voted for me, well knowing that I put out the rest. But 2.6 million eligible voters did not go to vote.
So you're saying those are your voters?
They are people who certainly listened to the message that it was not worth their while. And these people listened to that message. And coincidentally, that message was being spread by us. So it is not far-fetched that those Zimbabweans listened to us. And they did not go and vote. 2.6 million.
But wow, Mr. Monzora, let's assume they listened to you. Now we have by-elections where you even fielded candidates and they were thrashed and you performed dismally. How do you explain that? That the people that listened to you and did not vote are no longer voting for you now in by-elections?
They are not even voting in the by-elections.
But you are fielding candidates.
Because by-elections are not very meaningful for people of Zimbabwe right now. People of Zimbabwe take seriously the national elections. And more specifically, they take seriously where there is a possibility of change in a government. The 2.6 million are very serious-minded people who read and found for themselves that this election was rigged. They listened to the voice that we should not go to the election, and let's say that there are prospects of a free, fair, and credible election. Those people are going to vote, and those people's choice is far from being determined. And it is not fair for you to then assume that they will not have voted for me. Why did they listen to me?
Okay, interesting. The people of Zimbabwe, this is your president, the opposition leader. He's saying the 2.6 million voters that did not vote in 2023 were his, and that people do not check by-election seriously. That's why his party is performing dismally. Anyway,
what I'm saying, for the sake of completeness, is that these people were people who listened to our message. I didn't say they were mine. I didn't say, but I said,
doesn't it mean that they are your people?
It is possible that these people they voted for us.
Okay.
And I'm saying that it would be too presumptuous to believe that they may not have voted for us. I think that they would have voted for us.
Okay, it's fine. Since you have called for unity, let me now take you to Nelson Chamisa. He's the biggest player in the opposition arena. And to quote him verbatim when he announced his comeback, he said, "It is public knowledge that some of our colleagues were dining with ZANU-PF. And only Muppets, and they were Muppets and puppets of ZANU-PF. So he said only a dog feeds on its vomit as its meal, effectively shutting the door on those presumed to have worked with ZANU-PF. And in the political sphere, some would say, he did not say it was you, but some would say maybe that message was directed to you because you have been previously been alleged to have been working with the ruling party. What's your comment?
Definitely, the message was directed at me because I was the person who had talked about unity of opposition. And Advocate Chamisa, when he said his statement, was responding to the call for unity. And that was his answer. But I want to disagree with you that he is the main actor on the political arena right now in the opposition. That's not true. Advocate Chamisa left the political arena in 2023. And when he left the political arena in 2023, he had contested for the presidency. And thereafter, life went on for the people of Zimbabwe. The political life of Zimbabwe went on. There was still the fight on the delimitation, fight on electoral reforms. He wasn't leading that. And then there was the fight against the 2030 agenda that was started by the MDC. He wasn't leading that.
His argument is
the people who are the
Can I hold you there?
who are acting. So let me just
finish.
The people who are acting are the people who are waging the relevant battle, the battle of the moment. The battle of the moment for the people of Zimbabwe is not what happened in 2023. That is past tense for them. It is what is gripping them right. And what is gripping them right now is the issue of the 2030 agenda. And leading that fight was the MDC. But coming now to the comments by Advocate Chamisa, he is free not to unite with people he doesn't want. Nobody forced him. In fact, I never said that we were going to force him. If he doesn't want to unite with others, it's up to him. This is a democratic country. And if he does not approve of certain people for his reasons, you think that he doesn't approve of me because he thinks I work with ZANU-PF. That's not the reason. The reason why Advocate Chamisa doesn't like me is that I defeated him as a Secretary General in 2014. And he didn't take that kindly. And when he got the opportunity, punished me for it. And that is the real reason. The issue about being in ZANU and so on and so forth. We are not in any way connected with ZANU-PF. And I said about 2 years ago now that if there's anybody with evidence that I worked with ZANU-PF, I had $10,000 for them. And Zimbabweans are a broke lot about my friend Aaron. We all need money, right?
Yes, yes.
And 2 years later, that money has not been claimed because the allegations were false. And the labeling of this person as ZANU-PF and so on is a weapon of choice. This other time, Sikala was labeled ZANU-PF because he had broken away from Morgan Tsvangirai to form his party, the MDC 99. Watchman Nube in 2005, broke away. He was labeled ZANU-PF. And then Tendai BT, after the Mandela rebellion, was labeled ZANU-PF. And right now, as we speak right now, Nelson Chamisa is being labeled ZANU-PF.
Now you've come to an interesting story as well.
This issue about people being labeled this and that is something that is used by the opposition to do down each other.
So, Mr. Monzora, sorry, Mr. Monzora, you're saying the tagging of opposition members as ZANU-PF is a weapon of choice to discredit them. On the 14th of February, during the commemoration of Tsvangirai's demise, you said, so was it your weapon of choice as well to your perceived setters that some of them are working with ZANU-PF? And on this show, are you able to mention Varukutamba Nebora Bora?
It is not my style, say, to talk about people who can't defend themselves in the same in the same interview. If they were here, I would then tell them. But say, there are people who have behaved in this country in a manner that it made it so obvious that they were working with ZANU-PF. That's number one. There are people whom we know are working with ZANU-PF. That's number two. We know, for example...
Do you have the evidence?
Yes, we do. We know, for example, that there is a desk in the 50th floor of ZANU-PF. It's called running a program called the KHE.
What does that program do?
That stands for Kumba Home Ekai. Okay. And it's run by Blessings Chebundo.
Your former colleague.
Yes, our former colleague. And they are on a recruiting spree. And we know that there are some people, some people who accuse others of being ZANU-PF when they have dealings with ZANU-PF, commercial dealings with ZANU-PF, and so on. And we can prove that if we are called to do that. We have not mentioned name, but say, in politics, like in anything else, if it swims like a duck, flies like a duck, quakes like a duck, lays eggs like a duck, then it is a duck. If it does not criticize delimitation, if it does not fight delimitation, if it does not fight the 2030, if it does not unite with others, what is it? Okay. I leave it to you.
The people of Zimbabwe have had, Mr. Monzora, if it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, eggs, lays eggs like a duck, then it is indeed a duck. Deep well. Now, let's talk about the unity. You've got difference amongst yourself, the ones that broke away from the mother MDC, have got different styles of leadership. You were talking about rational disputation. You talk about it a lot. You've got Sikala's militant style of leadership. Then we've got Nelson Chamisa, theocracy. God is in it. The others I'm not sure about their style, but definitely we've got different styles. How then do you reconcile these different styles and unite for the purpose that you intend to unite?
We must agree to. We must agree on. And fortunately for most of the people who are in the political arena, right, in the opposition, leading the opposition movement in various groups, they come from one source, the one place of origin, and that is the MDC of 1999. Fortunately, the MDC of 1999 had the principles, and these principles are written down, social democratic principles, and the values of freedom, justice, equality, solidarity, constitutionalism, and the respect of the rule of law. Those are founding values of the MDC, the original MDC. And fortunately, we have the constitution of the MDC. It is still there, and it is in. And if you go to Article 4, it talks of the character of the movement, that it must be pro-people, it must be democratic, and that it must espouse servant leadership, and that political power and leadership is begotten via democratic means. That is through the modicum of elections, either at national level or at the domestic level. Those are the fundamentals that we agree on. And as I have said, we have to agree on mutual respect. there is no need of calling people names, vomit, and so on. That is anachronistic. That is so backward. Some people who say that may think that they are doing down the other person, but if you look at it closely, they are doing themselves down. Prove not how ugly Mr. Mondora is, but prove how ugly his argument is. So there is no need of calling each other names. It's an outdated thing. Actually, the person who used to use that a lot in this country was the late President Robert Mugabe, and his leadership naturally became a disaster. You cannot build a leadership on the plane of denigrating other people and calling other people names. Certainly, I'm not vomit, as you can see. I have a working mind. I'm running a political party which is doing better than most political parties right now. We have a headquarters, we have structure, and we have an international presence that is there, and we adhere to certain principles, and we are waging a fight on behalf of the people of Zimbabwe. We are not waging a fight for ourselves. That's never our aim. The aim of the MDC is not to get power for power's sake. The principal aim of the MDC is to take over governmental power through peaceful, democratic, and constitutional means, govern differently, and change the lives of the people for the better.
Okay.